Welcome back to We Talking About Sports, where we have gone through 1 week of the NFL playoffs. They removed the super from it. It is no longer super wild card weekend, and the games kind of didn't really deliver. One game did. One was a surprise for me, at least. We'll kick it to you, Ben, because you were at that game, and I want to get your feedback. How was the
Yeah.
energy from the crowd in Houston?
Hell yeah.
It was really good, dude. It was really good. We had an awesome tailgate prior to the game. We walked into the stadium, bought some beers outside as soon as you enter because it was half price. So walked in with beers, went in to our seats, and it was like we were following one of my buddies, Derek Yeoman. It was me, my brother Edgar, and my buddy Derek. But we were following Derek down to the seats, and the food just kept going lower and lower and lower. And then I was like, damn, we in the mix by the time we got into our seats. So said hello to the people behind us, in front of us, apologized for standing all game, ahead of him, and told them, let's get loud. It was a badass game, bro. A really good game. I expected a tight game. Obviously not the best start, but overall the experience was awesome. Last year, they were hosting the Browns, and we went to that game, and it was a hell of a game. This year, hell of a game. So the tide has kind of changed. Usually I go to watch my team play, and it doesn't go well. It doesn't go very well, but the tide has kind of changed with the Texans, at least. The Rockets still lost to the Spurs, late in 2024. That was pathetic, but it was an awesome weekend. I think that surprised everybody. Rex Ryan apologized for calling the Texans a bye.
Mhm.
And, Justin Herbert, I think it's time to have the conversation about Justin Herbert. I don't want to say that he's, because Trevor Lawrence is a little younger, but I don't see, I think both guys are like prototypical. They have the look, everything, but they just fail to deliver when it really matters.
Now that makes you what 2 for NFL playoffs with the Texans at this point, right? Last year you
Wild
win, this
card,
year you
yeah,
win.
wild card round. Hopefully we keep dominating that division. and
You,
we'll
you
be
should
there
start
for
like a
the wild card.
GoFundMe and have Houston send you to this next one. I mean, if you're 2 for 2, why not test your luck
Or I
here?
could just start robbing banks like that Chiefs super fan that was robbing
Yeah.
banks, bro.
Start funding your new hobby.
There's more ways to get it done. Roland, let's look at the scope of the playoffs here. We did have the Chargers lose to the Texans. Ravens beat the Steelers, AFC North battle.
Yeah.
Familiar foes. You want to go over that one for me real fast?
Nothing really to recap there. The Ravens took care of business. Steelers were kind of, dead in the water coming into the playoffs. I think there was a point in time in this season where the Steelers, they had enough of a run game. Russ gave them that little bit of a, influx of, confidence, right? That they just weren't tied to, hopefully hitting a big play, relying on the defense, and then, Justin Fields doing something. Russ actually gave them some semblance of like a real offense. And so kind of where I'm getting at is there was a point in the season where they were playing good enough defense, Steelers defense, right? TJ Watt, Minka Fitzpatrick, Hayward, and those boys, they're playing at a high level. The offense was doing just good enough. And you were thinking to yourself, and I think they were in the lead in the AFC North at one point, and you were thinking to yourself, man, the Steelers playing this brand of ball, that who's to say they can't win a game or maybe two in the playoffs? But then they hit that little streak. Steelers fans will point to the 3 games in 11 days, which, hey, that's a gauntlet by any means. And when you add in who they were playing in those games, you got the Chiefs, I think they played the Bengals in there, so a bunch of tough games. Kind of, we're dead in the water coming into this matchup. And so it was just a matter of were the Ravens going to, flex their muscle and, really, play to their record and kind of the team that we thought they were, or were they going to, fall back to some of those woes that we've seen in the playoffs? And, they dominated.
Whoa.
Eric Henry almost got 200 yards, so did exactly what they needed to. Don't want to call it, like almost a regular season game because, the Ravens did take care of business, but it was a good warm-up game, I would say, for their tilt here against Buffalo.
Yeah. Then we had the Bills taking care of the Broncos 31-7. The Broncos came out with that opening script. They looked pretty fire. It seemed like it could have been a game, and then the Bills just take over. So not much to recap there, but I will push it to you, Ron, on this next one. Commanders and Bucks, you're the Baker fan. 23-20. Hell of a game. Hell of a Sunday night recap to finish off the playoff for Sunday night. Talk to me about that game, Ron.
Man, the show was going so well, and you just fucking throw to me with Baker and the Buck. It's just somebody was talking about this earlier, how it's not Sam Darnold's fault and this and that, and it made me think of quarterback.
Who was saying that, dog?
Somebody on our Facebook page, actually, if you want to go look
Yeah,
at the
but
post.
we're not even talking about Sam Darnold. We're talking about
understand.
Bucks and Commanders.
understand if you
Oh, you're
let,
gonna
I'm
get
gonna
there.
get there.
Okay.
Right, I'm gonna
All right.
get there.
All right.
Let him land, just
Quarterbacks
Yeah.
like, to me, quarterbacks like that you want to root for, right? These
Mhm.
guys that have been backups. There was that picture going around with Darnold and Baker at Carolina last year, 2 years ago, whatever it is. And you root for guys like that, right? But then you have Baker fucking fumbling the rock, tapping his chest like, yeah, it's on me. Yeah, it is on you. Like, I'm tired of backing you up. And then you think and you realize, fuck, you were a backup quarterback for a reason. And it sucks, bro, because I'm a huge Baker fan. But he literally and figuratively fumbled the rock for his team. I think they were up at that point. He fumbles. They get a touchdown to tie it. And it was kind of like when J.R. Smith fucking, let the time go out and LeBron knew they were going to lose in overtime. That's just kind of how it felt when the Commanders tied up the game. It sucks. All my bets missed. I had them closing out parlays, so shitty way to end the fucking wild card because it was the last game of the night too.
And on the flip side, though, too, Jaden Daniels. I mean, I know we just got done talking about Baker, but Jaden, he's not a rookie quarterback. The way that he's been playing, he's really played above his age and kind of above his years here. So it was impressive to see him on the flip side. And I don't want to go too in on Baker because I do think 4,500 yards, 40 touchdowns. Or almost 4. I don't know if that's. I want to say that was a stat line this year. So. Had a great year. No one expected this out of the Bucks. I know a lot of people were expecting other, players in the division to actually win that division. People thought the Falcons were going to win, and the Bucks came in and showed that they were still the class of the division with Baker and Mike Evans. And I look at the game more so of like the Bucks really didn't play to their strength, in my opinion.
Mhm.
I think they were. When you have Bucky Irving, of course you want to run the ball, but when you think about the Bucks, the way that they got here was going vertical, stretching the field with Mike Evans, hitting some shots with McMillan and Kate Auden here, and then, hitting some big runs with Bucky Irving, more so kind of using the pass to set up the run and not the inverse. And I felt like they kind of got away from that in the game. It was still close at the end of the day, still kind of went down to the end with Jaden Daniels, showing us why he's the rookie of the year. But yeah, it was a great tilt, great game, great way to end, Sunday night.
All right, let's recap Monday Night Football, Ben. Here, I'm going to push it to you. Rams take over the Vikings. I think this game was like a classic case of X's and O's versus Jimmy and Joe's. And the X's and O's, Sean McVay, I think, got the win here. Is that a good assessment or not?
No, it's not. Maybe, but it's kind of as simple as, and I blame myself. I was saying all those things about Herbert, and here I am thinking, the Vikings and Sam Darnold are going to go and be the Super Bowl quarterback like
Matt Stafford.
Sam Bradford, goddamn. Like Matt Stafford. Like, that's just off the rip. You think, okay, most important position, we should have looked at it, gave Darnold too much credit. I think, with that game against the Lions on Sunday night for the division and this playoff game, he lost any chance, I believe, at starting next year, unless a team is, willing to do that. But I don't see it. I think that he lost a big bag with those two games. 100% he'll be a backup quarterback somewhere. But, man, they put some pressure on him. And I know the O-line wasn't the most helpful, but he hung on to a lot of balls, bro. Like, even in some scenarios where you just can't – anything but a sack. And he just tucks himself and gets sacked. Like, no throwaways. There was no throwaways from him the whole night. That's why I say that it's some on the O-line, but for him, he wasn't trying to get rid of the ball at all when he was under, duress. So Sam Darnold is a fraud. My bad for picking on him. The Rams came out hot early. They kept it up. That defense, that was crazy. Roland was talking about it earlier this morning in one of the group chats about Verse, the defensive player.
Jared Verse.
How they haven't had a draft pick in forever, and then they get Verse, and, they knocked it out the park right away. So, I'm not we'll talk about the game, against the Eagles, but very impressive for the Rams. They dominated, bro.
I just thought schematically the way they came out, they got it done.
They marched right down the field, first drive, put 7 on the board, like you said, real methodical, real surgical, in the scripted part of the game, right? That's when you want to, make your presence felt, especially kind of when you're almost the underdog coming into the situation. If you just look at record, right, 14-3 versus 10-7, Vikings had a great year, but I kind of agree with Ben in the sense that it was a little bit of a case of they are who we thought they were with, Darnold. He is who we thought he was. He showed it in prior games leading up to the playoffs that, if he gets, rattled a little bit, the pocket's not as clean as he's used to seeing, the windows aren't there. He is going to double pump and, hold on to the ball like Ben alluded to. And that leads to 9 sacks. And that led to that strip sack too, that, pretty much ended the game right there. As soon as that happened, you could have just booked it, and the Vikings just warmed up the bus.
And Roland, what you thought was a Viking strip sack, and then it ended up being an incomplete pass, right?
He shoveled it.
That changes the tide, that little flick. But yeah, we talked about it on the preview. If they were able to get pressure on Darnold, the Rams were going to have a good chance of, throwing them off their game plan, because it doesn't matter if you have Addison and Hawkinson and Justin Jefferson out there. If you have a guy who's shook and not playing with a clean pocket and just double thinking everything that he's doing. So kudos to the Rams. And McVay, gamer, wish he was on the Dallas Cowboys sideline, but we might have some Deion Sanders to look forward to. So we'll see.
We'll see what happens with that. Let's move into the opening game this weekend. As per usual, the Texans are in the playoffs. The prime time is not happening. They just don't win that lottery for some reason. And they're playing the 2-time Super Bowl winning champs here back to back. As a matter of fact, this game has been played in the regular season. The Chiefs were the victors 27-19. After the game, you had Mahomes go up to CJ Stroud, and you can audibly hear, "We're going to see you in the playoffs." It's come to life, Ben. Tell me about it.
Yeah, it has come to life. I already saw, anytime there's a big game and there's a big, maybe there's a referee reffing the game and a team is undefeated.
I saw that.
You see it right away. So it already came out that, the head referee, the
6-0.
Mahomes is undefeated.
Sean Hockley?
No, it's not him.
It's his son or something.
But, it's
Clay Martin.
Yeah, so it's tough going into Kansas City as it is. I do like to see more than a touchdown, as far as the point spread. I mean, the Chiefs have been a team all year that I've been telling myself, like, how the hell are they 15-1, 14-1, whatever it is? Because they were just all those close games, they go their way. And I know that in the NFL, it's like, okay, maybe next year they won't. But then again, they have Patrick Mahomes, right?
Yeah.
Who usually tends to get it done in those big moments. And that's what shifts those games and makes the winning plays. So, but the fact that they haven't scored over 30 points all year, you know what I mean? It's not like the Texans have to go out there and be world beaters. I mean, they got Al-Aziz back at linebacker, Agent Zero. He was in there already throwing punches at Ladd McConkey, trying to get the ball out.
Yeah.
But one of the captains, we've seen Stingley. I hope that Stingley will be on DeAndre Hopkins, maybe some worthy. But the Texans defense, I feel, they don't have to worry about the big play with the Chiefs, kind of like how they didn't have to worry about the big play with the Chargers. So when you don't have to worry about the big play, I feel like you can be a little more aggressive. You can play around more. Now, Mahomes, it's a lot of timing with Mahomes, and he's the best doing it right now in the NFL. So you're going to have to get over that. But I think that it's kind of a winnable game, albeit a 8.5-point spread and, minus 410 favorites. I think that if it's a one-possession game, I mean, I see it as a winnable game. And I think that this could be a one-possession game. I got to say, I don't like us coming out today and cutting Deontay Johnson, because I was going to the hotel room and
that's a guy you told me I want to see him get the ball more.
Exactly. I was telling my brother, I was like, damn, Deontay Johnson only had 1 catch today, bro. Like, we can't have Mechie. We can't have Bobby Woods being the number 2 wide receiver. It's not really going to work like that. You're going to need Joe Mixon to go ham. But albeit, I think that this one, I think we're looking at an under. I think we're looking at an under here.
Weather.
42.
Is there weather rolling?
I don't know. I'm assuming it'll be cold, so we'll see.
Yeah, it's going to be an outdoor game in KC. But yeah, I think that, first team to 20 wins the game.
Gotcha.
Nice. I like that.
Roland, what about you here? Ben did talk about the Chiefs offense not scoring more than 30 points all season long. And we saw the Houston Texans defense really come alive against the Chargers. But this is Mahomes, 2-time back-to-back winner, 3-time Super Bowl champion. What do you think?
Yeah, and just to reiterate that point you just let off with, the Texans defense, they did come out to play this past Saturday. So props. They got after Justin Herbert all day. Really wasn't comfortable, and you saw the turnovers they forced. But, looking back at the season, I think we spent a good part of the season saying that the Chiefs were possibly fraudulent. Like they were possibly like, hey, like they're 9-0, like they're 10, but they're barely winning these games. How is this happening? Like what kind of voodoo are they doing?
Field goals, penalty flags,
stuff like that. But one thing that you have to say, in all of those games that they ended up winning, they had an opportunity to win. They were doing just good enough against their opponent just to get a win. It reminds me of the Patriots in those days when they had Tom Brady, and they were just playing a different brand of football every single week. Didn't matter how many points they were scoring. So that 30-point stat, I'm not too worried about. For a lot of the year, they were shuffling guys in and out. Marquise Brown got hurt before the season even started.
Yeah.
Rashee Rice, my guy, my speed racer, he got hurt, 5 games into the season, 6 games into the season. Finally got Marquise Brown back. You're able to play Xavier Worthy in his true spots. You're able to have him just run those goes, do stuff behind the line of scrimmage, stuff like that where, before you're asking him to run the whole route tree, and that's just not in his game. So the offense, I think, has started to gel a little bit more towards the end of the year. The defense has still stayed consistent, although I would say that they are beatable. I just don't know the Texans are necessarily the offense to do it and to actually push the Chiefs to where you start thinking about, damn, they haven't put up 30 points. Can they do it? I think they'll be tested like that against somebody like the Bills or the Ravens for the length of the whole game. I will say, I do think there's probably going to be, a decent amount of time in this game where Ben is going to be thinking that the Texans might pull this off. And I think we're all going to be there at some point in the game, but then the Chiefs are going to take over and it's going to be business as usual. So I think the Chiefs are going to win. Do they cover? I'm not so sure. I can see like a score similar to what the Eagles and Packers just played, something like that, like a 22-10, 22-14 type game. I think it'll be close, played in that range, and I agree with Ben on the under. It'll be a closely contested game for most of it. For sure.
I'll tell you one person who won't be thinking the Texans are winning at any point in that game, and that's Ron.
Ron, tell us about it, Ron. What do you think for this game?
Look, man, I'll eat the crow. I said last week that we're going to start off the weekend right with the Chargers, the easiest play of the week. And they came out to a 6-0 lead. We're moving the ball down the field. Hell yeah. After the first fucking couple drives, it was all she wrote because they didn't even sniff the end zone after that, I think. Look, man, Ben said it. I do. You're not going to be at home. You're going to Arrowhead, where the Chiefs are undefeated this year. And they just don't lose at home. I mean, Baltimore week 1, everybody thought, hey, they're going to lose. Baltimore has Derrick Henry. What'd they do? They won 27-20. Then back-to-back, Cincinnati. They beat Cincinnati at home. It's just, look, man, they beat Vegas by 2, the Chargers by 2. It could be 2 or it could be 20. They're going to beat you. And Andy Reid is not, Mayo. And, I mean, Dalton Schultz and some of the second-tier weapons are not going to cut it against the defense like Kansas City. They have a lot of weapons. Anybody could go off. I know they don't have that deep threat, but it's just some random, like Juju Smith-Schuster could go off this game, and it's be like, oh, fuck it, it's the Chiefs.
He will not go off. That guy, that's one person
I'm just saying,
that will not go off.
That with the Chiefs, you never know. They're too good at home. The defense is too good, and
Russell Watson.
And I think that, it could be like the backup tight end Watson. I think this is a Travis Kelce game, though, since it's playoff time. The whole Taylor Swift shit comes around. I like his props over 50.5, and I like him to score a touchdown. So I'm going with the Chiefs easy, and I actually think that they do cover here.
There we go.
I wish you wouldn't say easy because last time you said easy, it hurt us.
Play of the weekend again, Wayne, please.
I like that.
It is, bro. What else is I gonna say here? It's just, dude. I don't know. I'm done. They're gonna win easy, 8.5. Take it now. I mean, you could have a Butker field goal that gets you there. You know. So.
What are you saying, Ron? This is just like a levels game then?
Yeah, I mean, look, man. You take away Nico Collins in the middle. That's all I feel that
it's
Nico
hard
ran.
to take away though. You say it like, oh, you take away Nico. Like, come on.
All he ran, dude. All he rants were slants.
Name me
to
one
the middle
DB from the Chiefs, Ron. Because you just said, oh, take away Nico Collins. Like, name me one DB from the Chiefs.
That's the thing about the Chiefs. They don't go need a standout player. They have a team effort that's been playing together with one of the smartest coaches ever, and Andy Reid.
And Spagnuolo, the defensive coordinator. I mean, he's a gamer.
Any other route that Nico ran besides a slant up the middle? That's how he got the touchdown. That's how he got the 30, 40-yarder. You don't have Tank Dell. Schultz ain't going to do shit. Mixon was shut down till, I believe, the fourth quarter is when he got
both guys went over 100 yards and got a touchdown. Mixon and Nico, I think that you need that exact same thing. They both got to score, and they both got to have 100 yards, or else we don't got a chance.
But to do
it at home, time they played,
do it at home versus the Chargers, and to doing it away at Arrowhead is totally different.
I'll bank on the Chiefs game planning Nico out of the game.
There you go.
Or, he's not going to get off like he usually has, and if he does, props to him.
The last time they played, I believe the Texans only had 80 yards rushing against the Chiefs. And to name Kansas City defenders other than Karlaftis and Chris Jones, it gets pretty hard. Because it is a Spags defense that they do it with. So
Chris Jones is healthy, guys. Obviously, he's going to be playing, but I remember him kind of getting banged up late in the year. Nobody played for them the last week of the season. They had the bye, so he's probably going to be.
Yeah, he had a little calf thing, but I think he's good.
He should be back. This is the last thing I want to talk about that we didn't really bring up. And Ron just said it, 3 weeks of rest here. The bye week of sitting all your players against Denver to let Denver in so Cincinnati doesn't get in. Then you got this week. This is 3 weeks of rust that they got to shake off. Any chance Houston gets off to that fast start on them, though?
I mean, I think it'll be something similar to Denver. You saw, I mean, it's not that, again, I don't want to be disingenuous, but you can script your first 15 plays really good and execute and score a touchdown in the scripted part of the game. It's what happens afterwards. So, yeah, I think they can get off on them, but rust has been here, done that for the Chiefs. They've rested guys multiple weeks before.
Too much playoff experience. Mahomes has got 15 wins in the playoffs. The next closest is Stafford with, I think, 6 or 5.
Levels, like Ben said,
levels on this one.
Over 1.5 passing touchdowns for Mahomes. He has 31 passing touchdowns in 12 home playoff games, and he's hit it in 8 of the last 10 playoff games and 9 of the last 12 at home. The running game, let's face it, hasn't really been there this year. There was injuries to Pacheco. So this is a game where you put the ball in the best player on the field's hands. That's Patrick Mahomes. And that's Travis Kelce.
Shout out to Josh for that comment, digging in his pun bag. Saying Chiefs, shake it off and get the W. Shout out Taylor Swift.
There might be a blank space on that scoreboard for the
There you go. Load him up, Roland. Load him up. All right, let's move over to the next Saturday night game here. This one should be a fun one. Over under set at 55.5, boys. Vegas thinks there's going to be points, Ron, but the Lions are favored -9.5. They got a lot of injuries, though, and we saw what Jaden Daniels did last week against your Bucks, against Baker Mayfield.
Stop it.
Can they get froggy once again?
I don't think so because they're a little banged up. I think Bobby Wagner got a little banged up in that game. Deron Payne, I think, is limited at practice. Obviously, they're going to go, but if you're not 100% against this Lions defense at Detroit, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. We have the spread at 9.5, 68% of the public, 73% of the money. So they're in kind of a consensus that the Lions will win this game by double digits. The over-under split right in the middle as far as the public and the money. As far as my pick, 9.5's a lot, boys. But if anybody can do it, I think it's this Lions offense. Nobody's been able to stop them. David Montgomery is back. We saw what Gibbs is doing without him.
He was a full participant.
No surgery. He's back.
He's back already, man. So
this might be a big case of Boobie Miles, though. Like you come back too soon, and we gotta. I gotta see it. I gotta see it with him.
He'll be good. He'll be
might
good.
Might be just goal line situations, maybe. I don't know.
I mean,
Roland,
and then
Ron's talking about, Montgomery being back. We know that running back duo. How much does that unlock Gibbs?
Shit. I mean, I think Gibbs is fine with or without Montgomery. I
He's
think
that guy.
what he can do when Montgomery's off the field, full time, and he's got the full workload. But obviously, the Lions, they like what they have, and Montgomery and Gibbs, and they do honestly have that perfect, thunder and lightning that reminds me of like Lendale White and Reggie Bush back in the day at USC, stuff like that. So I really like that tandem. Montgomery coming back, obviously a good shot in the arm for Detroit, but this is where the train stops for Washington. Great story, 1 year turnaround, really. I mean, just took 1 year to undo everything that Dan Snyder did wrong. So shout out to the new ownership group. I know Ben was talking about him earlier in the morning, Magic Johnson. Shout out him and Josh Harris and those boys. But they turned it around, but this is where it ends. This has like 38-24 written all over to me. If the Lions can get off on their offense, their defense has been, just trending towards the bottom with all those injuries. Everyone always talks about the amount of guys they have on injured reserve. It started with Aiden Hutchinson, then just went down the line and got worse as the season progressed. But they're going to find a way, I think, to get enough stops. The offense is, I think, going to get them off to a good start, and they should be playing with the lead. I can see Washington maybe getting a backdoor cover there, but this has like 38-24 written all over to me, because Detroit, I think they proved in that Vikings can still kind of be bullies, and they can still impose their physicality. And I think that's going to come into play here. This is another go for them in the playoffs. And this is Washington's first run with this group. And I think we're going to see that come into play. So yeah, for like the 10th time that I've said this time, 38-24.
Ron, my bad for cutting you off. Did you want to finish that off?
You're fine. I forgot what I was going to say.
Ben, what about this game? What screams to you on the betting lines here? What are you liking?
Roland kind of called it, but what screamed out was team total over for the Lions here in a home game. You got to think it's probably going to be like with this total, it might be like at 30.5 or some shit.
It's at 33.5.
Oh, ooh.
Yeah.
Damn it, boy.
That's why Roland said 38. Like, he got there with 38.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did, but damn, that's high. We haven't seen a game go over. This might be the one. I've been like a big critic on, I believe it's Aaron Glenn, the defensive coordinator for the Lions, and just kind of amazed at the fact that he's getting looks for a head coaching job. I mean, I know that the Lions are that good, but I don't see him as a head coaching guy. Somebody else said, he's been around like that culture locker room, so maybe he comes and becomes one of those culture guys as an ex-player. Could see that. But I think that we see points here. I think, we both kind of said that, Roland and I said that we like the Chiefs and the Texans to go under also. This might be the first game that goes over, for the playoffs. And the 33.5 is just a little high, man, for a team total. Like, you really have to score on damn near every possession that you're going to have.
Yeah, got to be perfect.
And they got home run hitters on offense at the wide receiver position, the running back position, even the tight end position.
And I'm kind of like of the thinking that David Montgomery holds back Jamar Gibbs. It's like, dude, Jamar Gibbs is like top percentile of running backs. He's up there with Bijan. Obviously, a little more elusive and or whatnot. And then back to that thunder and lightning, bro. The first time I ever heard that, maybe y'all can help me here. Who was the other running back with CJ Spiller at Clemson?
Oh, shoot.
Back in the day.
I know who you're talking about.
That was thunder and lightning.
Yeah.
I know who you're talking about.
I think it was something like it might have been like a Ford.
CJ Spiller.
Spiller was the bigger name of the two, but the other
Clemson,
guy was
he was lightning. He was
James Davis. James
Davis. Yeah, those were.
That's
fun
with Tosh
days.
Boyd too, right?
That's Tosh Boyd number 3.
To your point, Ben, the Lions team total has gone over. They've scored 34 points in 4 out of their last 5. The only one they didn't get to 34 was last week against Minnesota, 31-9, and they've gone over in 4 of their last 5. The last time that they had a total of 55 or over, it was 56 when they played the Bills, and they scored a combined total of 90 points. They lost 48-42.
Yeah, not Josh Allen on the other side, but to your point, maybe the Lions team total does get over. That game against the Vikings where you said that they only scored 31, on that one it was 28.5, but they only had 10 points at halftime. Mm-hmm. So they kind of had a bigger second half. I think over 55.5, the team total at 33. I think that the Commanders as much as they go for it on fourth down, I do think that they can contribute. We saw them not change any of that up against the Bucks. Yeah. Early on, I was pissed that they didn't take their field goal when they didn't get that 4th and 2. Then on a later fourth down, they score a touchdown. Yeah. So they're going to stay aggressive. You like to see that.
This might be the two most aggressive coaches going at each other as well.
I think you have to be aggressive because you know Detroit's going to score, so field goals ain't going to cut it regardless.
Yeah, you're going to have to go for 7. What's y'all's coming into this playoffs? And I just ask because I think the opinions have kind of varied over the years as we've talked about this guy, but confidence rating in Jared Goff coming into this playoffs. You guys worried at all that he has one of those bad games, kind of a la Sam Darnold, although I will say that I think Jared Goff has proven that he's past that and he's in a different class than Darnold, not making that comparison, but he has had bad games before. So yeah. I just want to ask, what's y'all's confidence rating?
I mean, this year he was being considered for MVP, so I think, like you said, he's really outgrown that, even being in consideration. He might finish, in the top 5 when votings do come out, but at home and indoors, I think this is these are like the perfect elements for Jared Goff. So, yeah, I'm not too worried about it here. And they have home field throughout. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, Jared Goff's a guy who's gotten to the Super Bowl before. He's been to the dance. So, we know his ceiling. I would say we also know his floor, and it can get pretty bad. I would say I'm like at a worrisome, like a 4. I think with the coaching and Ben Johnson controlling the OC, I think they'll limit his mistakes, and you just have too many fast guys around. So we can just do short, quick game, and we can still hit home runs, and we don't have to have you making all these good decisions to win these games.
It's almost impossible to have a bad game with those weapons. I want to say that.
He threw 5 interceptions against the Texans, bro, and they still won.
Yeah.
Ron, what's your confidence rating in Jared Goff?
Through the roof.
Okay.
Honestly, it is. All the fucking confidence in the world he should have. He doesn't have to worry about who's behind him or in front of him. He just has to make sure to not make a mistake. And I think the coaching staff will put him in a position where he's not going to make a big mistake. So before we end on this, I'll give you a prop. I like Terry McLaurin, Scary Terry, to score a tutty here at plus 140. He's had a touchdowns in 7 of his last 8 road games, 10 total, 14 touchdowns in his last 16 games, and a touchdown in 6 of his last 7 games. Overall, he was a little sneaky fantasy vibe this year. I think, Mr. Consistency, and they are going to have to score touchdowns. We see the scrambling ability for Jaden Daniels. He can scramble in the pocket, 5-6 seconds, and that lets your receivers get open. Scary Terry to score a tutty here at plus 140.
Shout out Scary Terry, another Mike Evans type guy, just doing the work, not getting all the shine.
I have a buddy who's a Commanders fan, and he came earlier for a game, and he was arguing with a friend of the show, Jose Venegas, about Scary Terry being a top 5, top 10 wide receiver, and throughout after the playoff game, he texted me top 5. I woke up to a text about top 5, and I knew he was referring to Scary Terry. I'm not ready to put him there today. He sent me a video of all the bum ass QBs Scary Terry has played with,
and gotten 1,000 yards with.
1,000 yards.
Kind of I was like, bro, I lived it with Hopkins. I understand. You know what I mean?
He's top 10.
He's top 10?
In production, he's top 10.
He's top
for
10.
Sure. I think I would.
He's productive.
I think he's one of those names where we legit start putting players on numbers, and we're like, is he top 10? It's probably going to be you got to put him or Mike Evans in. And I think for the most part, everybody's going to put Mike Evans in over him.
Mike Evans this year's top 5.
If we legit numbered receivers, I just think that he's one of those guys that ends up on the outside looking.
It's like him or Cooper Kupp top 10.
Close. I think I'll take him over Cooper Kupp right now.
But just real quick, I'll name you 10 guys better, bro. That it.
I don't know about
that.
It's
too debatable.
Another
debatable.
Another debate for another day.
You can say 10 bigger names, but as far as production goes, you're not naming 10 guys more productive. That's the other thing. So it's an interesting conversation, interesting debate, but we'll move on to Sunday morning's game, Sunday afternoon, and it's the other NFC matchup. It is the Eagles and the Rams, Ron. I'm going to kick it to you on this one, Ron. What do you see? What do you like on the betting lines right away when you're seeing over under 44.5 and Eagles -6?
I think I'm going to go with the over 44 here, man. We saw the way that the Rams were throwing it around the field. Now that everybody knows Philadelphia, their defense is probably one of the best in the league. Obviously, you're not going to run on them very much, but that's fine because if you're, the Rams, you want to get it in the hands of Puka, and your weapons, and you're going to need to score because you're going to Philadelphia. And if you're Philly, I think that you can run the ball. I think this is the big Saquon game here. I like him to score a touchdown for sure. That's probably juice. So maybe you parlay it with Philadelphia winning the game, or maybe with the overs. And that's kind of where I'm at. The Rams did surprise me a lot. McVay is definitely a gamer. 6 is like perfect where it should be at. The Rams, it still felt like a home game, even though they were in Arizona, and they still played in the dome. And LA's not too far.
It's still a home game because they were home. So
yeah, I know, but they were playing like at SoFi. So I don't know if you can go to Philly in the cold weather and do it. I think Philly's just it's gonna grind you out. I think the defense is going against a different offensive line. In Philly, there's got some big dudes over there, man.
Wayne Johnson.
So
and depth. They have depth.
All pro snub.
-6 is where I would probably get it, maybe by the hook to 5.5, and that's probably where I'm at this game. But my favorite play is probably over 44.
Right.
I like that.
Roland, I know you're a Sean McVay guy. You like the way he schemes up plays. And we saw the Eagles not look the greatest against the Packers for a lot of that game. They did cover in the end.
Yeah.
What do you like here?
Man, I'm with Ron. I like the Eagles -6. While I do like Sean McVay, I also have respect for the Italians. What do they call them, the Paisans. I got love for Big Dom and Nick Sirianni. Even though he decided to grow back his hair and he ditched the bald look. But, I think the Eagles are clicking at the right time. Vic Fangio got the guys playing good defense. And we've seen this matchup before. We saw it in week 12, and the Eagles took care of business, 37-20, had Matt Stafford in check. And Ron spent some time talking about the elements of this last game, playing in the dome there at Arizona. In what is it, Scottsdale or Glendale? I forget the city, but indoor conditions are going to be going out to Philly. It's supposed to be raining, it's supposed to be cold. It's not the same situation for the Rams heading into this game. Another great story, another team. I was talking about it with somebody at work today. They started the season 1-4. They ended 10-7. That means they went 9-3 to end the year. So props to them. It was looking like they were going to be in a big sell-off, right? Trying, recoup some for some of the assets that they do have that are sellable, but they decided to hold on. They were winning games behind Kyron Williams, fought through that Puka Nacua injury. And here they are. But again, with the Commanders, I think it's just another good story that's coming to an end. Philadelphia, I think this is a levels game. We see it here. I do think the NFC is going to come down to, Philadelphia and Detroit. And the Rams are just not quite there. I think they're maybe a piece or two away. Still got some stuff to figure out in the offseason, but give me the Eagles here, -6. I don't know if I can get there on the over because I do think the Eagles defense is clicking at the right time. And I don't think the Rams are going to have as much success against this defense as they did against the Vikings.
I just read oh, sorry. Go ahead, Ben. I didn't know you were back.
Oh, Ben. So the last time these two guys played, Saquon had 2 tutties, 255 yards rushing. That's a lot.
Yeah,
but
Ron, give me the stat, though. Ron, give me the stat because it might play into my take. You never know, Give me some ammunition.
So the stat I was going to give you guys here is I was on the over at first glance because I felt 44 is low, but Hurts is 5-1 to the under in playoffs, and 14 games have produced 43 points or less. Let me see. Philadelphia is also 12-2-1 to the under in their last 15 home playoff games with an average total of 36.
Yeah. All right. Well, and the Eagles offense didn't look the greatest. They kicked off the ball and, they got a fumble on the opening kickoff, got badass field position, got a quick score. But we got to remember Jalen Hurts was out for 2 games before the playoffs. Looked a little rusty. A.J. Brown had 1 catch. He was reading a fucking book on the sidelines. For crying out loud.
Crazy.
It was like inner greatness or something. Yeah.
Shit was wild, bro. They do have Saquon Barkley. I think that's the checkmate in this. We saw that they could have blown the cover if he would have just kept running. We saw, Devontae Smith pretty upset about it. the guys were telling him like you weren't going to get caught if you just kept going. But I do kind of like the under in this one. 6 is a lot. Although, the Eagles defense has one of those units that did turn it up later in the season, late second half. Slay did leave the game after getting an interception, I think briefly. Believe that he came back, or was I mistaken there, guys?
I saw him on the sidelines, but I don't remember him back in the game after that.
Okay, so that will be something to look out for because you got to think that he's probably going to be the one on Puka or, wherever. If he just stays on that side, for the most part, we know that he is, a reliable cornerback. They are at home. It's kind of weird, man. Like Nick Sirianni was in a weird place earlier this year, fighting with fans on the sideline and shit.
Yeah.
And like,
they were opposing fans though, or it was something like that.
No,
it's still just like the coach fighting with fans is,
it was overblown.
He was getting a lot of shit because the team, although they were winning games, they didn't look very good, to start the season. The defense was expected to be a lot better. They turned it around, but Philly fans are going to be Philly fans. I saw somebody that said, "Oh, I have a show idea. Let's send UFC fighters undercover wearing opposing teams' gear to Philadelphia Eagles games." You know what I mean? Because their fans are ruthless, bro.
I saw some bad videos. Yeah,
they just kicked out a fan for life over the weekend because of what he was saying to
some women.
Packer
fans. Yeah, that was a video I saw. That was bad.
That's insane. But
Big Dom on security, got the name right away. Shout out to the Italians.
I do think that this is a possibly a single possession game. Obviously, still favor the Eagles at home. I think that Saquon's going to be the difference. The Eagles defense will probably, stand strong against the Rams here. You got, Rams fans themselves saying the Eagles are going to kill us. I won't mention any names, but give me the Eagles.
Yeah.
So do you think the Eagles are the best defense left of all the playoff teams here?
No,
just with the depth they have and everything.
The Texans are still playing also, so.
Yeah, I think
you got the Texans have the better defense.
Yeah, we can put it together.
All right.
Yeah, that's fair.
Well, let's get over to the last game Sunday night, and let's just call this the MVP game, fellas. I mean, I think this is the two at the top for the MVP race. And at this point, whoever wins, the commissioner should just walk off into the field and hand the trophy down to whoever the winner is, because that's what this means. The last time they played, I think they played in, I want to say it was Baltimore, where the Ravens, handled Josh Allen pretty easy. But this is the playoffs, Ben, and you're past Bills Mafia, and I want to know, what do you got?
Yeah. Home field advantage, I think, is big here. Both of these guys have, really not been able to make the jump. For the most part, I think, there's still one more game for that. It's going to be, whether they can get over that hump of being in the Super Bowl. But this is kind of one of those lose-lose, man, for both of these quarterbacks. Whoever loses here is going to be memed to fucking oblivion about how they're a choke artist in the playoffs and they can't get it done. It's going to be unfair because one of these two is going to win MVP as well. And maybe the guy that loses is the one that gets memed and wins MVP. I think a lot of people think that it's a toss-up. This is a hell of a game, bro. I hope that it's snowing. I really hope that it's snowing in this game. It's going to be whoever can, I think, assert their run game. Both QBs run the ball, obviously a little bit differently. But, man, dude, this is a tough one to call. I think that it's a little telling that the Bills aren't favored and they're the home team.
Mm-hmm.
Don't like that. I got to admit, I don't like that. But shit, for the Bills, I think we all expected maybe, a step down this year, losing weapons.
Yeah, I did.
And they became the first team ever to score 30 passing touchdowns and 30 rushing touchdowns in the same year. Very well balanced. Joe Brady, the OC, will probably be getting interviews for head coaching jobs. He's probably part of that next generation, of OCs that are going to become head coaches. So, dude, this is, I want to say it's like the last hurrah for Josh Allen and the Bills and maybe that coach, I don't, it's hard to say, maybe they move on from that coach, but you got to get over the hump eventually, especially with a quarterback of this caliber. I think whoever has the most rushing yards and dominates the rushing advantage is going to end up winning this game. But give me the Bills.
Roland, everything's lined so close in this game, Roland. Do you like any play the way that they're lined so close?
Oh man, this is tough for me. Just because I saw a path for the Bills in the beginning of the year. I'm not gonna say that I predicted them to win the World Series. I mean the Super Bowl. I do have a ticket on them from a long time ago, but saw this MVP season coming from Josh Allen. Really hope he wins it. But just looking at this game, and one more thing before, because Ben was talking about the playoff stuff for Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. Both guys, I think they have an equal amount of pressure coming into this game. Lamar Jackson, I think he's played less to his standard in the playoffs than Josh Allen, because listen to this. 3,000 yards, 23 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. That sounds like some guys' season. That's just 11 games in Josh Allen's playoff career. 23 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 3,000 yards. They have not gotten over the hump because of Josh Allen. I mean, maybe outside of a game where I think the Bengals went in and dominated them at home. I think that was part of the Bengals run. But other than that, Josh Allen has put his team in position. I mean, he can't go on to the field and stop Kelsey from scoring in 30 seconds or 13 seconds, whatever. But anyways, different conversation. This game, Ben did the breakdown for me. I just thought he was going to say the other team. The Ravens are going to win this game. It pains me to say this. It really does, because I want the Bills to win. I'm rooting for the Bills. I'm rooting for Josh Allen. I'm a Josh Allen fan. I like Lamar Jackson too, but Josh Allen's my guy. I like Josh Allen a lot. But I think the Ravens have him here. The line, Ben pointed it out, they're the favorites. And Buffalo has shown that when they're going up against teams that can run the ball, that they're on their back foot a little bit. You can get them on their back foot. And I mean, Ben talked about who can assert the run game. If I'm betting on that to win the game, I'm going with the backfield that has 2 1,000-yard rushers. A quarterback that almost got 1,000. Lamar Jackson ended with 900 yards plus, and Derrick Henry damn near got 2,000 yards. So 3,000 yards in the backfield right there. I'm going with the Ravens, just as long as they don't do any fugazi with their play calling like they did last year, and they don't run the ball but 2 or 3 times in the second half. I like the Ravens to win this game. I think they can assert themselves early. They can get the Bills playing a little bit desperately. And that's where I like the Ravens to take control. I just think the Bills are going to have to sell out so much to stop the run that we are going to see Lamar Jackson show everybody that, hey, these might be wide open windows, but I'm going to hit these throws. I think Lamar Jackson's going to have some throwing windows. And I think he's going to exercise some of his demons in this game. It pains me to say it because I like the other side a lot. That's where my heart is. But my mind, where if I'm just analyzing the game and breaking it down, give me the Ravens to win the game.
Is Zay Flowers back this week, guys? Do we know that?
Questionable.
Okay.
All right, Ron. They're split. They're split on this picks here.
Where are you landing? Where
are you landing, Ron? Where are you landing,
bro?
Where am I going, Ben? Where am I going?
You're taking the Ravens 100%, bro.
Where's my boy Louis at? Is Louis in the chat?
He's right there. He's right there.
There he is.
Listening.
Here he is. King Henry, 20-plus touchdowns in the cold, will wear down the Buffalo defense. Ravens versus KC rematch in the AFC Championship. Louis, I agree. All right, so last time these guys played, I believe it was 35-10, albeit in Baltimore. They ran for 271 yards. They're the number 1 team in the league that uses 6 offensive linemen, and that big fullback and Pat Ricard is just leading the way for Mr. Derrick Henry. And I think that's what it's going to be, bro, is just the Bills not having the defense. We can talk about Josh Allen until we're blue in the face, MVP, this and that. But like I believe Roland said, he can't go out there and stop Kelsey. And that's what it is. The Bills' defense is susceptible to the big play. And when you're worrying about Derrick Henry, guess what? Here comes little Mark Andrews behind you. Here comes Bateman with the deep ball. So
I can't believe we're shouting out Bateman.
It's true, though.
They get the ball around. Even Likely eats here and there.
Yeah, he gets tutties, bro. So they ran for 201 yards. Like I mentioned last time, Buffalo is 31st, allowing about 6 yards per carry in the personnel that Baltimore likes to run. I mean, guys, it's just we haven't even talked about the Baltimore defense, talking about the Bills defense being bad. The best run defense in all the league all year. And is James Cook going to break some against this defense? Probably not. So I kind of like a little prop. Maybe we can get Josh Allen rushing yards. It's at 43.5. You assume he's going to scramble, put the ball on his play, design runs, maybe inside the red zone. So maybe some Josh Allen rushing props, but I mean, Baltimore at -1, take them on the money line and don't sweat it. They're going to grind it out. They went and got Derrick Henry for a reason. And this is the reason right here to go to Buffalo and have a shot at the AFC Championship, whether it's in the snow, in the sleet, and clear skies. Nobody's stopping Derrick Henry.
That statement right there is also the reason that Josh Allen is the MVP. That same statement.
Was no one stopping Henry?
Like no one stopped. Like if the Bills have any shot at all, it's gonna have to be on Josh Allen. You know what I mean?
100%.
Yeah, he's gonna have to go beast mode.
James Cook's not a big enough name.
I on the other hand think we have like an MVP off. I think maybe we get fireworks in this game. Maybe Amari Cooper, turns back the page and he's effective. We know Keon Coleman is
rookie,
good with the deep ball as well. Though I think that I like the over.
Yeah, Shakir.
Yeah, that's a good point, Ben. We haven't talked about the over. It's set at 51.5.
I heard a rowdy stat about Shakir that he's actually second in the league in yak yards after catch. Jamar Chase is above and beyond the league by like 200 yards, but in second place is Shakir at like 600 in yak. So yeah, they got some weapons on that team. Shout out to the Bills. This should be a good game.
Shout out Louis with the stat. Ravens are 9-0 anytime Bateman scores a touchdown. So
do we not? I mean, we got to give some credence to home field advantage also, though, guys. I mean, we saw one road team win.
Yeah, but I've seen the Bills lose enough times at home in the playoffs.
To the Chiefs, bro.
Yeah, the Chiefs are different. Yeah, I know. It's a different conversation. You got to almost put those Chiefs games in a different bucket. I agree.
That's who they lose to at home, the Chiefs.
But this situation, I agree with Lou. The cold, they're going to want to run the ball. Derrick Henry's going to be running downfield. And unless they shut him down early and Buffalo gets out to that 14-0 lead or that 7-0 lead, then Buffalo will have a better chance. But if Baltimore establishes that run game and is able to consistently run the ball, I think they'll win the game. But it's hopefully it's a close game. I mean, it's 1.5 for a reason. But I like the Ravens here.
Game of the weekend.
Oh yeah.
MVP off, MVP bowl, the game of the weekend.
That's why it's a nightcap.
Yeah, that's why primetime Sunday. That's exactly what it is. All these games, you don't need any streaming services. ABC, CBS, NBC, and Fox. You have over-the-air satellite, over-the-air cable. You're going to be able to watch the games this weekend.
Gorilla Box.
That too.
Before we leave NFL real quick, I've been kind of creating this list, and I'm at number 10. Okay, just stop me where you think
the wide receiver list
is better than just say stop.
Okay,
just say stop.
You're gonna start from number 1, right?
1, Jamar Chase.
No.
2, Jettas. 3, CeeDee Lamb. 4, Puka. 5, Nico Collins. 6, Amon-Ra St. Brown. 7, Mike Evans. 8, Tyreek Hill.
Yeah. Tyreek had a terrible year.
He's right around Mike Evans and Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, I mean, even
Courtland Sutton and McLaurin were rounding up the top 10.
Yeah, you don't have AJ Brown up there at all?
Oh, AJ Brown. I'm sorry. Yeah. AJ Brown was in there, and then it was either between Courtland Sutton and Terry McLaurin for number 10 on my list, unless you want to put him ahead of Tyreek Hill. But I think if we all have the choice and we have Tyreek Hill and McLaurin, we're all taking Tyreek Hill.
I don't know.
Come on, guys.
I mean, maybe like 2-3 years ago, yes, but now I don't know.
We'll see. Okay, when Tyreek Hill leaves teams this summer,
we've just never seen
revisit it.
We've just never seen Scary Terry in a high-end offense really until this year. Like it started showing shades that this is like a top-tier offense. He's never been in a plus situation. Tyreek Hill has played with the best quarterback of our generation so far, and Patrick Mahomes, and offensive friendly system with McDaniel and Tua.
Yep.
So I mean, it's completely different. Athlete wise, I mean, Tyreek Hill, no one's running the sprints that he's running, but
we also all expected Tyreek Hill to take a huge dip when leading Patrick Mahomes and going.
Yeah, but I don't think
he had arguably one of his best years ever.
Yeah,
after leaving the Chiefs.
Yeah, but I mean, but we also spent that half of that year thinking that Mike McDonald broke football, and look at where we're at now. I'm just saying, like it's all a situation based. And I mean, I don't know. I'm looking at the list, and it's all debatable, honestly, because there's some rookies who've come in and had some good years, right? If you want to give,
but I didn't want to disrespect him. I didn't name any rookies.
Yeah, I know.
Nah, you weren't disrespectful with the list.
There are some guys on this list that you start to think after the season that they had, and you're like, damn, like they're really there. I mean, Brian Thomas Jr., 1,300 yards with the Jags. I mean, the guy's a stud. Malik Neighbors. I don't know. I might be backtracking on.
We'll revisit it next year when we do our top 10 wide receiver list, I'm sure.
Yeah.
All right. The last slide of the night, college football playoff Monday night. We will have a UFC pod probably Thursday or Friday for UFC 311. That's going to happen Saturday night. We'll talk about that later at some other time, though. Here we are with the final. Ohio State beats Texas. Notre Dame beats Penn State. Rough game to watch, boys. It's a rough game. The ratings were down. Ron, I'm going to kick it to you with the Notre Dame and Penn State recap. What did you like in that game? I know you were on Penn State. They did not cover for you.
Why? Why you gotta just go to me?
Because I know you watched that one a little more closely, Ron. I know you watched it a little more closely.
That's insane, dog.
Putting his business on Front Street.
Body blow.
No, he posted it. That was public knowledge. You know, I can say it.
The Penn State game for me, they lost it at the end. They put the ball in the quarterback's hands who had thrown like jump balls into triple coverage and shit like that. I mean, you have a nice run on 1st and 10, albeit there's 47 seconds left, but you can't have him fucking, I think it was a bootleg to his left. And then, yeah, it was up to him. He threw it across, his body. But I think Penn State, should have won the game. But, I mean, in college, bro, anything can happen. We've seen every fucking upset possible. Ohio State just looks so fucking put together. But Notre Dame was just tough. They were tough. They hung in there all game. They had some mistakes, and they came back. I think it might be a little bit closer of a game. 8.5 in college is kind of like, I don't know. What do you think, boys? Comparable to the NFL? Is that like, would you go 8.5 in college is like 10.5, 11.5 in NFL, or would you go the opposite way? Because I always see college games end up being so close. No matter if a team's up by 30, it's like you turn.
I would think Ohio State 8.5 is like a plus -6 in the NFL.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
so you think it goes down? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely does, because what Rolling pulled out a stat one year on us that majority of the NFL games get decided by 3 points or fewer. I remember that stat because it hit home. So I would think it goes down.
Yeah, 46.5 years the over. That's always tough with the overtimes. But just to give you my quick winner, give me the Buckeyes.
Say it.
Buckeyes win the IO.
Ben, let's kick it to you for the Longhorn and Ohio State recap. We were 7 points away from making it a tie game. Instead, it's a 14-point swing, my friend. Still hurting over it a little bit, Ben. Tell me about it.
Yeah, it sucks because I've been like a big supporter of Sark, and him being the reason that Texas is back, into that dominant state of being the last SEC team and getting as far as they did. But when you get to 1st and goal from the 1 yard line and then you fail to score to tie the game, it's bad, bro. It leaves a very sour taste in your mouth. You know what I mean? Knowing that you were that close and then you get the sack fumble that just makes the scoreboard and the box score look a lot dumber than the game actually was.
Yeah.
It does suck. What I will say is, here we see the 7th seed and the 8th seed in the national title. So the playoff expansion, I think, was a big success, albeit the first, the top 4 seeds did lose the teams that had their bye did lose. But if you don't expand it, I mean, does the best team win? Here we are with number 8 against number 7. You had Dave Portnoy doing free publicity, for Ryan Day earlier, saying extend Ryan Day.
And Ryan Day.
Pretty damn sure he's getting extended, after Monday night's game. I'm going to back Ron. Unfortunately, I do think that Ohio State wins. Will Howard, it all worked out for him, transferring out of Kansas State, going to Ohio State. The Golden Domers are game. They knocked it out of the park with their head coaching hire. I think a lot of people, were like, is this a bridge guy? Is he ready? We know the team really liked it because there's that video of him going into the locker room after being announced, but they knocked it out of the park with him. He's getting looks from NFL teams already, getting, interview requests. So Notre Dame is on the up. Their quarterback, I do think that he's in the wrong sport. I saw an Instagram clip of his basketball highlights, and god damn.
He's also a lacrosse player.
He belongs on the &1 tour, bro, not in the national title. But yeah, give me Ohio State, I will say, in a closer, low-scoring game.
Roland, the expanded playoffs are here, and Ohio State finds themselves in the national title again, just like the first time they expanded the playoffs. What do you like in this game?
Well, first I want to shout out, the Notre Dame and Penn State game, just give it this proper love. It was a traditional college football game. It's straight, strong defenses going at it. Both teams really relying on the run. Probably a product of, not having a reliable defense. And, Ron touched on it. Anything can happen with these college quarterbacks. Like, in no world in the NFL does any quarterback throw that pick. Maybe Daniel Jones, but he's another story. But does any quarterback make that throw that Drew Aller made, over across the middle and throw that pick in the pocket? Nobody rushing him whatsoever. Just throws it right down the middle for a pick. Just stuff that you can't make up. But great classic game. Shout out, because I did not know this guy before the game. It's just popped up because I admittedly did not watch a lot of Penn State football this year. Shout out Tyler Warren, old school football player, number 44.
44 tight end.
Their fullback, tight end, whatever. He was their leading receiver, their best player on the field that game. Reminded me, those of you guys that watch Friday Night Lights, of some Tim Riggins. Just had to get that out there because I just couldn't help but think that when I was watching the game.
Had a pretty good edge rusher also, Roland.
Yeah, and then to touch on it, a little bit about what Ben said he's an edge rusher too?
No, they have a good edge rusher, number 11, Abdul Carter.
11, the guy who declared for the draft. Yeah. Toughest guy that's ever played football, according to Drew Rosenhaus. But to touch on what Ben was talking about with the expanded playoff, and we talked about it the last time. I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but reseeding does have to work here. I think they got to adjust that a little bit. But the expansion had to happen because if you just look at the BCS, we would have had, what was it? I think Georgia versus Oregon. And they both got routed in the playoffs, right? So that's not the right system, right? I think we all agree more teams, the merrier, and it's better. And I think it's been exciting. I've been a fan of it. It's great games. Unfortunate Texas ended the way that it did, but now you guys get what you've been waiting for. Get to see Arch Manning, see what he can do next year. Hopefully, you guys still maintain or same level of talent.
How do you say you guys? Like, if you aren't going to be?
Well, I'm not a valid, Texas fan. Yeah, I root for them. If I'm betting on them and stuff.
Yeah, when your money's on them, you root for them, but you're not really with us.
I root for them against most teams. I'll root for Texas. Don't get me wrong. I was rooting for Ohio State in this matchup, though. I like Ohio State, but anyways, excited to see what Arch can do. So Texas fans get what they've all been waiting for, and see what next year has in store for them. See where Quinn Ewers ends up. I know he said he's going to the draft, but this game, I like Ohio State. Notre Dame, I do agree, their game. They got a strong defense. We saw that run game, what it can do, but it's just a different beast going against Ohio State. Unless they come out and try and, tit for tat with the run game with Notre Dame, then, maybe it'll be close, but Ohio State should take care of business. Score, give me like 31-14. Like, I think they should really hold steady because Ohio State has a strong defense themselves. They probably had the best defense in the country or top three. Just based on talent. So they got guys across the board. I like Ohio State in this matchup.
Yeah, no, I agree. What about Marcus Freeman, ex-Ohio State linebacker, full circle going against his old team here? That's pretty interesting. Got one of the best hairlines in the game. Jalen Rose may be the only one to top him as well. So
yeah, man. Shout out his barber. He's got a clean fade. And like Ben said, Notre Dame got their guy. You saw the reaction that they had when they announced him as the
players coach.
He's a gamer. You can tell he's got the culture right there. And it's going to lead to recruiting. Guys want to be a part. Some guys want to be a part of that. So It's going to be a good run for Notre Dame here.
College football is known for their classic helmets. This is a helmet game. You got the Ohio State helmet versus the Notre Dame Golden Domer helmet. Who's got the cleaner look coming into Monday night?
Man, I've always been just back to playing, like NCAA football and even like Pee Wee football and whatnot.
I know where you're going with this.
Love the stickers.
Love the pride
stickers on the helmets. Can't get over that. And Ohio State's got the best stickers. So give me Ohio State's helmets here.
What is the sticker? I had a buddy's wife say, like, what is that?
It's the Buckeye, the bean plant.
Oh, it's a bean plant. Okay, it can be mistaken very easily. That sticker, but I think in the cleaner helmet, I think Notre Dame probably has the best plain helmet.
Very recognizable worldwide helmet.
Non-decal, it's not like the Browns where it's, just that brown and the story. I don't know if it's true or not, but how the helmets get painted, fresh. I think that comes from like the movie of Rudy where they paint the helmets fresh before every game. So I like the cleanness of that plain gold helmet matching the gold pants. I like Notre Dame's helmet.
There we go. Either way, boys, I think it's going to be fun as college football games usually are. I am pulling for Ohio State, obviously. I think they do cover. But later this week, we will be back, UFC 311, talk about one of the better cards already of the year. I mean, it is loaded. We have lost some fights, and the card is still loaded. So we can't wait to get back and talk about that either Thursday or Friday. That one will be coming. So y'all be ready for that. Anything else, boys, before we close it out for the night?
Well, the UFC's coming. They're going to come.
Yeah.
I'll be ready for it.
Dion might be coming too.
Yeah, hopefully.
There we go. Peace out, boys.